Hello again, everyone. We're back with another art stream, and today I think I'm going to take a break from a couple of the pieces that I've already established in favor of doing something a little bit different. I kind of want to go back to what I had been working on previously with some of my doggo sketches, and I'm feeling really remiss actually because I haven't drawn Talon yet, and I just feel like that is a failing on my part, because even though I've drawn him in other pieces, I haven't gotten to draw him on stream yet, and I have like a picture of him in my mind. I know we have it somewhere, but I don't know exactly where it is. There's this picture of him where his movement is just gorgeous, and he's walking down a hill, I believe. But I think if it's not in this folder that I think it's in, that'll be all right, and I'll just go with my second favorite choice for him. Oh, hey, DJB, how are you doing today? Hope all's been going well with you. We have a blank canvas. There's no marks on it yet. Oh wait, here it is. It's actually kind of a goofy picture because his tongue's sticking out, but I'll figure out whether or not I want to draw that in. We'll see how it goes. Alright, let's just start marking it in. You got stuff coming up? Ooh, that sounds exciting. Let's give you a kind of a fluffy face here. This is off to the side. Here's that. I've been doing pretty well, thank you. Busy and tired from it, but you know what? For me, that's a good thing. I like keeping busy, so... I'm excited, though, that, there's just, like, one more month, essentially, and then I'm out of school for the summer, so that's gonna be super nice. You gotta get dinner started, Marshall? That's completely fair. Let me see here. Do some quick measurements. Okay, so that right there is the midway point, actually. Yeah, busyness does prevent me from doing anything silly. It's a good thing. The new puppy is my fun police, too. I don't know if I can call her super new anymore. She doesn't smell new, that's for sure. I love that digital ink can blot just as much as regular ink, my goodness. Babin! How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. Is this the cute challenge? Sadly, it's not the cute challenge. It is a cutie pie, but it's not a cute Drazon. I'm gonna have to do a cute Drazon though. I do have an idea for it. I do have an idea. You've inspired me with something. I promise it won't even be like the least bit morbid. It'll just be sweet. We'll see if I can pull it off. You finished rearranging your room? Oh, nice. That's always accomplishing. I'm doing well, thank you. Drazon cute? Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard to believe, especially after all of the Fallout related shenanigans I know for a fact you've witnessed from that one, so but I think I've got an idea to at least like trick people who don't know, who haven't been there. Let's see. My angles are all wrong. I'll have to go and fix them later, and it'll be a shame, but whatever. Yes, Babin was able to draw a cute Drazon. I don't know if I could do it, like, just because very often my art of people tends to be, like, the opposite of cute. But Babin is a master. I don't know if I can work your levels of magic though, Babin. Like, don't get me wrong, I like my own character, it's just I see him for his uncute self in a lot of ways. He can act adorable, but I don't know, he's also, I see him as kind of a mix between adorable and very scary. Oh yeah. And you are indeed a master. I have seen many cheebs and many cute arts, but your style is hands down my favorite, I have to say. Oh, DJB, thank you! Yeah, Twitch does this thing where it wants us to, like, announce. It's a little awkward, but it's still appreciated. Okay, Marshall, I hope dinner goes well. I should be around for about 2 hours. Unless I run seriously over, I don't know. The Vanth Way 6 hours later? Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's completely fair. That would be quite the trip. I've never been out of the country. I'd like to someday. That would be really cool. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. Tank Blots of Doom. Every time my computer has an update or my tablet has an update, it really wants to sass off again. Seriously though, I forgive all of its failings because how could you live without your tablet, you know? Drawing tablets are just... You know what? I don't even know that I care about that blot right there. It's on his nose, so it'll be just fine. Oh my goodness, that sounds like it's gonna be amazing. What are you gonna do out in Africa? That is if you want to talk about it. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I'm just curious. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I hear you, Bug. I'm very much the same as you know. I take each day as it comes, but I've got like those little like tentative future plans myself. But life is an interesting thing and it's subject to throw curveballs, so everything I do is in pencil. Or digital, just delete the layer if you don't like it. Tally! My ginormous bear of a dog. Well, technically, I guess he's Dave's dog. Well, technically, I guess he's Bud's dog, but he's everybody's dog. He's ginormous enough that he can definitely go around. This dog is seriously as big as I am. Not even an exaggeration. He might actually weigh more than me, I don't know. Exactly, Thad. Oh my goodness, DJB, that's awesome. Dude, that is seriously excellent work. That's gonna be exciting. And yeah, Talon does, he gives the best hugs. If you're ever feeling sad or having like any kind of problems and you need a hug, going to Talon, it literally just melts everything away. get the big derpy tongue. Blip. The big derpy blip tongue. I considered not putting it in, but the tongues are so much of their personality, honestly. I can't resist. As much as I want to buy into the mythos that huskies are these like gorgeous stoic creatures, they're just derps. You're gonna be crying for coffee? Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, that is completely fair. Detox yourself from the caffeine and whatnot ahead of time so you don't, like, end up having to deal with that while you're out there, because that would suck so hard. Yeah, huskies are not stoic creatures. They are large and derpy creatures. Oh gosh, coffee tea. You're such an instigator. Okay, let's see. What's this? Oh, okay. We've actually got some easy measurements, it looks like. I always like it when measurements on a piece, like, happen really nice and readily. Okay, so that right there. What is that? This midway point is about the chest. I play so fast and loose with my measurements, I really shouldn't. But these things happen. Figure's incredibly foreshortened. Like immensely so. You run with 5-hour energy shots? That sounds prudent, actually. That sounds prudent. How you doing, Alethi? Well, thank you, DJB. It's always great having you here. And thank you again for the sub. I hope the rest of your day/evening/ what have you goes well. I'm bad with hours. It must be like really late over there, actually. Just trying to get my brain to do its brain stuff. The muzzle needs a little bit more fat over there. This needs to ink blot its way into greatness. Please excuse any thump bangs in the background. The little one is playing in her crate. She is super silly and super sweet. And she's actually kind of tired today, which is a blessing, because she was playing so hard last night, and then into this morning she just didn't want to go to bed. Like, I don't know if you heard that, Bug, but Raza just did not want to sleep when I was trying to sleep. She was up and still playing and still talking to me. Oh yeah, get that food. Food is always important. You hear the crash bangs? I'm sorry. You know what? This actually needs to be moved over. This right here is the beauty of digital and why you can be freaking lazy. Never be this lazy. Don't be bad like me. Do your measurements properly to begin with, so you don't have these problems. That should almost be in line with his nose, actually. That's way off. Okay. So this is almost in line. This is where you see like digital artists being like, yeah, whatever, we're just gonna move stuff around. I don't think it usually instills too many bad habits in my art, but at the same time, there definitely are some that crop up because of it. I feel too like this particular photograph and potentially drawing could be like a really great basis for one of the cute concepts I have for Tally. Let's roll this out like this. My goodness, the aggressive chewing is just something else. actually looks a little weird when I measure it. Because the tail, like, is huge. And plumes. Kind of like this. Leg is always a little bit thicker than I imagine it to be. It's a weird balance of talent. It's this weird balance of strength, and there's still a grace to him, but he mostly just looks more like a bear than a dog. Actually, I'm going to give his head a little bit more of a tilt. Really? Why are you not doing that? There you go. Yeah, there should be a slight more of a tilt there. Mainly because I think he, as a whole, should be at a slight more of a tilt. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Callum that he basically maxed out stealth. He's always been that way too. His bone structure and everything is so big and so heavy, and he's almost more reminiscent of like what you'd expect of a Malamute than a Husky, just because he's got that like really heavy freight dog feel about him. But weirdly enough, he can walk silently. Like, I feel like the way he just like picks up his toes or his claws, I don't know, he just is silent, just completely silent without exaggeration, and you'll turn around and he'll suddenly be right behind you, and it can be incredibly startling to have a dog that massive just sitting there or standing there staring up at you with those giant mismatched eyes like, hi, I'm here to steal your chicken. That's like 99% of the time if Talon is following you, it's because you have food that he wants. He wants your food. Or he wants you to get him his own food. These are all food related stalkings. Which actually, when you think about it, makes it slightly more terrifying, but I'm just happy I've never been his food. Such a big goofy dog. Always the chicken, yes, he just... Our feuding over the chicken will be like an ongoing thing for forever. It just will. I don't know if he specifically really cares about other people's chicken that much, or if it's just when I'm eating it that he gets that excited. But if I've got chicken, that dog wants it. And he will steal it. Weird. The proportions are technically correct, but the legs still don't look quite long enough. Oh, a Shih Tzu? Hopefully with a dog that small, they're at least a little bit easier to get away from, but at the same time, I've heard they can be super, like, mobile and bouncy, so maybe not. Maybe the small ones are just as dangerous in that regard. They'll steal it? Oh my gosh. You know, most of the time I'm completely unfazed by the staring and begging. I know some people get really bothered by it, but unless the dog is, like, literally on top of me, because that's something Talon sometimes does to Dave. He'll get, like, right up in his face and just stare at him while he's eating, like, hey, are you gonna finish that? And Dave's like, Talon, go. But usually if they're just sitting there looking at me, I don't mind. It was for a meme, then hopefully it was worth it. How are you doing today, Jaggers? Conniving sneak thief dogs, they're, you know... they're troublesome, but I do respect them for what they are capable of. I mean, yeah, it's obviously a grave offense that you're not the one giving in to puppy demands. That's on you. And you should be ashamed of that, apparently. That's puppy logic anyway. I don't know if I always agree with puppy logic, but hey. There's a spoke of muscle right here. It's kind of interesting. It's not exactly... I don't know what that is exactly. It seems sort of connected between the chest and the... It was fun. Very glad to hear it. I was messing around a little bit earlier in the game Outward. It's interesting, actually. I kind of like being, I don't want to say necessarily underpowered, but I like having to kind of think about what I'm doing. And that sort of, you're just a person vibe. It's interesting. Oh my gosh. Yep. That sounds very familiar. Oh no. Hopefully she didn't hurt herself in the process. And yeah, Roz is a bully. She just tries to take my stuff. She's a good little pup, but seriously. I turned my back on Talon for like 2 minutes. I know not even 2 minutes. Like, I know I tell this story all the time. I just set my plate of it was a chicken sandwich, and I set it down on my desk because I had to move my character in game or something. And he was sitting not even right beside me, just somewhat near. Next thing I know, it's just gone. It's just down his throat, and it's like, really, dude? Alright, let's clean this up. Why are you the lasso tool? Yes, I did retrieve it from his throat, but no, before anyone asks, I didn't eat it anyway. There have been things that I've taken away from the dogs that were like good enough food that I even just like kind of paused, and then I like would like look at Bug, and she's like, "Don't you dare. Like, don't even think about it." It's like, "But it's it's good. It's still okay. They touched it, but it's okay." Yeah, that's where I was at in that moment. It's like, if I can't have this, you definitely can't. Naughty pupper. Don't eat after my dog. Well, I don't know. I've always been really, really bad about sharing food with my dog. And it's only stuff that's safe for them. Like, there will be times where I'll prepare something for me, but I won't season it or anything so that it's safe for them. And I'll just, like, share it because that's just how I roll. And I know in the past it's grumpled Bug a little bit, but it's like, look, this is my doggo. I haven't really shared food with Raza yet, though, I have to admit. Just because I don't want to set that precedent with her, she's still too young. It's like, nah. You gotta wait until you're older and you know what sneaking is, so that you don't, like, mess this up and then make everybody want it. Just don't know what your deal is, Bug. It's totally fine. Besides, I know you share popcorn with your friend. See? Popcorn sharing. That's not dissimilar from what I'm doing at all. Yeah, that's true. Only the plain popcorn. No microwaved or salt or butter. And for the little one, I pick off like the fluffiest bits, and she, you know, isn't allowed to have any of the kernels or anything yet. Even the stuff that's just like natural and innate to the popcorn, you're definitely not allowed to have the unpopped seeds. And that's always one of those like wrestle the treasure away from your dog moments when they find one of those and it's like, hey, look, this fell. I'm gonna take it while it's still hot. It's like, what? No. You wouldn't. They're like, we definitely would. Oh my goodness, child, why are you throwing everything? I've heard about that. She used to share her ice cream cones with her dog. That's one I'd like to hear Bug justify. Sharing her ice cream with the dog. She liked peanut butter. Now that makes sense. Foods are always good. You can explain? I don't know that you can. I don't know that there is an explanation simply beyond I shared food with the dog. I know it's possibly not the best habit, and a lot of people just, like, super aren't into it, but if it's healthy for the dog, and it's not gonna hurt him, it's gonna, like, mean something to them emotionally, it's gonna make them happy, I'll share my food with my dog. Again, though, Raza still has some growing to do before I really, you know, indulge her. Just because she's a baby and I don't know, she's got a lot of like socialization to do and just learning and her health and everything. Obviously, it has to be focused around her puppy nutrition. When she's out of that stage and she's a little more stable and established as a big dog, they do have their own popcorn container. I'm just saying that I'll eat something and then I'll give some to them. Because, well, it happens. I can't help myself. He just stares. Oh my goodness. I hope you had a good dinner, Velikos, and I hope that it's helping you feel a little bit better too. I know sometimes food can make a huge difference and be very soothing. And yeah, it was always great because I swear Razzie always knew when I was preparing food that I was gonna sneak him some, and when I was preparing food that was only for me, like he knew to watch for like whether I was putting salt on it or what was going on, because if he knew that it was potentially for him, he would sit there and just like put his chin right on my lap and just stare at me. It was like, oh, okay. But I seriously never minded that. Oh, good. Yeah, and I'm glad that they're like they're very conditioned to do what we want them to do in order to get a treat. I'm actually super, super proud of them for it. See, the problem with me is sometimes, like, with a lot of meals, I'm actually, like, off kind of doing my own thing, and I'll just take my plate or whatever. Like, if I make myself an egg in the morning, I'll just take it up and be working on my computer and eat breakfast. And that makes it easier to sneak, at least in my opinion, because the food interaction and the socialization is like, okay, well, I'll share some of this meal with my fluffy companion, since I'm not eating with a person. I think that might sometimes play into it. But again, I can't let myself instill bad habits in the little one. She's got enough of her own. Fish, turkey, or chicken? Oh my gosh. Those are all understandable. I can see why he'd want them. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's really good. That makes sense. As long as it's okay for him, I'm always a fan of indulging them too. At least when it's reasonable. And this would be our boy Talon. I picked a super hard pose unintentionally, actually. Because I'm like, there's this really great picture of him on a hill that I'd like to draw, and then it's like, well, when you're just drawing him and not the hill, it looks a little strange, but I think it'll turn out okay. It's interesting, though, because I seriously feel like I want to lengthen some of these lines, even though the proportions are technically correct. They just don't look quite right to me for some reason. has like the most expressive ears too. It's hilarious. Because he'll kind of flap them at you to express his emotions. Welcome back. Hope you got good foods. And that a naughty pup isn't trying to low-key steal them from you. Chicken. Always a good choice. Raza, please don't try to take your collar off. That's a good thing. Raza, please don't. Sweetie, don't do that. Thank you. I don't know where she gets some of her ideas at times. Oh. Bean, that's such a cute name. Oh my gosh. Her name is Bean? That's amazing. I'll occasionally call my dogs Beans for unknown reasons. Like, I don't know. I don't know why that started. Why we started occasionally calling them Beans. But to actually have a dog named Bean, oh my gosh. I love it. That's amazing. Aww. I love it when they sit and they know they're not allowed in a room or in a place and they just sit right at the edge, right at the barrier, like this is as close as I can be while not breaking the rule. Oh my gosh, yes. Attack of the Ink Blot. And Bug, do let me know if like the contrast is appearing weird on the monitor again, because I do want to keep an eye on that since I did have issues that one time. You know, I'm not going to pretend I understand the point of Roz's game, whatever she's doing, but at least she's having fun, so I'm not going to complain about it. She seems quite happy. Being a little weirdo. You can actually see it. Oh no! Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, not knowing who to beg from. You know what, I'm gonna be, like, not stupid real quick, and I'm actually gonna title this and save it. On the other, it's a bit late. That's weird. I'll have to do some more calibrations and see what's what. This is turning out more pen and inky than I really intended it to, but you know what? I don't actually hate it considering the prominence of black he has to his coat. If there was an update or anything weird happened, or it just like was in the mood to, it could have easily reverted. Or heck, if you opened a certain application, it might have changed its settings. I know that I had a monitor that would actually go to a darker setting for some reason whenever I played Iron. Mechanical agitation with a 12-inch crescent hammer. That's a solution. It'll okay, let me put it this way. It'll stop that particular problem from occurring ever again. However, it might offer entirely new ones in its stead. That feel when the tablet like almost slips off your lap, so you have to do a quick readjust. It could be vindicating, yeah. Your own take on the infamous printer scene? Is she super loud through the microphone, or just like through the floor, or like, I'm not trying to diminish your suffering, Bug, I need context. I don't know what she's doing exactly, in all honesty. I'm afraid of looking at her because I feel like if I look at her, she'll notice me and then she'll start like realizing she wants out. But from my peripheral, she appears to be chasing her bowl around in her crate and also doing various things with various toys. You're hearing lots of noise. Oh my gosh. You had a lag spike? She's playing. She's playing. I might mute myself until she calms down, just because if she's being a bother, I don't want her to be. Not deafening or anything? Okay. She's been like super playful. Oh my gosh. She's not slept pretty much at all today. It's been wild. It's been like, okay. Hopefully at least tonight I'll get some good rest after this. You guys just let me know if she's getting annoying, because I will mute myself for a bit and just let her maybe get it out of her system, although I don't know that that'll happen anytime soon. A squeaky creaky chair? Yeah, it's a squeaky creaky puppy. I'd make a joke about trading them in when that happens, but no. She's too adorable. She's definitely my little monster. I don't think anyone else could possibly adore her as much as I do, honestly. She's amazing. She's just like really, really high maintenance though. And I know that her personality kind of comes across as super persnickety sometimes, but it's one of those things that I like it and I respect it, and I know that in part she'll grow out of it and it'll just kind of get tempered. What you doing, baby? Oh, hi. Oh, I don't know. You're a great mom to Kai. I mean, you're definitely Kai's mom. It's great because Kai will be doing the typical husky chatter thing like you hear in husky videos where they just yammer at people and they say stuff. And she'll sit there and she'll tell Bug off. And then she'll end the statement with a very clear mum. Like, I have all of this to say to you. And we're just going to end it with that. This just very accusatory mom sound. It's the absolute best. I've got to try to get a recording of that because, oh my gosh. It cracks me up every time she does it. And there's no getting a word in edgewise. When Kai is telling you off, she's telling you off. There's just no anything. I actually kind of like this style, but I'm betting Bug won't because it's a little harsher. One of those styles that it's like not even intentionally happening, it just is. But that's good to go with at times. Yay! Always love husky gifts. Thank you, thank you. It's like I can't, it's weird. I can't get enough of the little nerds even though I have my own. It's like I just love seeing them. I'm just a fan of dogs and cats in general, though, I have to say. The fluffy overlords, as I like to call them, they're amazing. Are you tiring yourself out? Finally, maybe? A look of, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, that does sound amazing. Yeah, they can get super, super judgmental. Yeah, exactly, Bug. They do. Really, Bun? What's wrong? Do you need out? Okay, hold on one moment. Let's actually, okay, you know what? I'll save this. And then I'm gonna take a very short break here, see if little one has some business to attend to. And I will be right back for the puppy. Alright, hopefully the little one is happier now. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to check this out because it sounds like grumpy dog. That's just. I love seeing other people have grumpy husky issues because if they did something to evoke the wrath of their fluffy overlord, I want to see it. I just wish I could see the fallout later than whatever the revenge is. Because it's true, they don't let go of things. They hold those grudges, and you gotta, like, pay them off if you don't want some sort of, like, grumple or spite later. Sometimes they just, at least for me, sometimes they'll get revenge by, like, withholding affection because they know that I, like, love hugging and cuddling them, and they'll just be like, get away from me. You don't deserve hugs. You don't deserve my love. And I'll beg them, and they're like, no. Just go. The shunning is real. It's part of what I love about them, though, I have to admit. I know it sounds like really masochistic, all the things. It's like, well, they do this obnoxious thing, but I like it. And they do this obnoxious thing, but I like it. It's like, I don't know. I just respect their nature very much. They're incredibly headstrong and independent, and I admire that. She takes all your blankets. I remember you complaining about that. You did something to make her mad and she took them all. At least she doesn't try to, like, rage potty on your bed. Because I swear, the one time Raza, like, was mad at me, she got up. Unfortunately, she literally just pottied, but she was mad at me. So she's like, I'm gonna pee on your bed. And she tried, and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, now you're just in trouble, and you didn't manage to do what you wanted to do, so you lost this round. Next round, you'll probably get that, but this round, you lost. Fair and square. Kaya is a grumpy lady, but the thing is, I don't blame her because she's always had to deal with a lot. Like, her boys, I can see why she's always been, like, heaving big sighs, like, oh my goodness, I have to keep like an eye on these boys and keep them on the right path. And now with the puppy, she's just like, she's like, well, this is a lost cause. It's just so adorable because she legitimately doesn't understand why the puppy is, like, not already competent in the ways of the big dog. And it frustrates the poor girl so much. Raza does love it. Yes, it's so weird. Kaya will like be screaming at her and yelling at her and like ordering her to do various things, and Raza just runs around and does it. It's like, okay. Like she'll just be Kaya will be like, um there's like a specific way she barks. It sounds really weird, but there's a specific way she barks. It must mean that whoever she's yelling at is supposed to run around the room faster and like run around her, because when she does that to one of the other dogs, they always do it, and it's so strange. Yeah, they're such weirdos. I'm like, because we're always like, stop doing that to the baby. But then it's like, well, the baby is having fun, so maybe we should just let it be. It gets a little wearisome for us sometimes because that level of noise gets a bit sensitizing. But we try to let them have their fun, especially when it's earlier in the day or evening, so like no neighbors could be bothered by it. Because it's like, oh, puppies, nobody wants to hear you. Like, we're your people and we love you, and we don't want to hear that. That's like a little much. But they are worth the craziness, for sure. I swear they have their own, like, dog language. Like, whether we can ever understand it or not, they've got their own verbal language, I feel like. It's not just body language. They're definitely talking to one another. I'm just remembering, too, the times that it would suddenly get too quiet, and we used to call it, like, their telepathy, because they'd all be, like, laying down, and usually it was in a very triangulated position, so that across the room they would, yes, they would look at each other. And it was like, what is going on? Sometimes they'd do it while talking to each other, sometimes they'd just be silent, and it would be the telepathy thing happening. Oh man. Either way, you knew there was going to be trouble. And all you could really do was brace yourself for whatever it was they were about to do. Because a plan was always being concocted, and from there, life would go awry in ways that are completely unexpected. That's true. It must have been so subtle, though, that it was, like, barely perceivable to a person, if at all, because they'd just be, like, stock still a lot of times. Or just, like, glancing between one another. Observing them, though, has made me realize how pack animals like that can hunt in the wild, because they really just seem to be able to get across whatever it is they're thinking. They're able to communicate it super, super effectively. I'm betting it could have been facial expressions and like little flicks of the ears, maybe, because from a distance, oh, it seemed like telepathy. But yeah, they definitely have some sort of like verbal language of their own too, because I know that there's just certain things that they'll make the same sound, and it definitely means something to them. Even if I have no idea like what exactly it is, it means something. Kaya's run around me bark is very, very distinctive now because she does it every single day. And the baby listens every single time. Yeah, she makes the baby wipe out sometimes. Which is fine because the baby likes that too. I'm just less fond of it because it's like I don't want to deal with like keeping the gates all nice and straight because the baby's smashing into them. Oh yeah, I agree. And even like the mimicry involved in some of the vocalizations too. It's just absolutely amazing. It's so cool what they're capable of. It's part of why I love animals so much. I think that they're capable of way, way more than people give them credit for as far as like intelligence and social interactions and things of that nature. I don't think she does. I think she's still in the puppy phase where she's just made out of jelly, so it doesn't really matter to her. It's the baby, that baby child toddler phase where they just, right? I do too. It's like they don't take fall damage. They just like flop around everywhere, and no matter what happens, it's like I'm fine. And then if they don't feel well, it's like okay, all I need is a nap and I feel better now. It's they have some serious video game logic going on. They do bounce. Yeah, the sheer strength and resilience of little young creatures is just amazing. Like I'm always being super super protective of Raza and being like, you know, trying to stop her from hurting herself or anything like that. It's like, I don't even really need to do this. All I'm doing is ruining her fun for the most part. So I've had to like force myself to step back a few times and just be chill about it or try. Oh, thanks, Ron Bar. Exactly. Sleep in the bed to recover health. The little monster convinced me to let her in my bed this morning again. But she can't figure out yet how to actually settle down enough to go to sleep in the bed. I think we're making progress. She'll cuddle up next to me, but then she has to sit there and give me kisses the entire time, which is very sweet, but it's just as disruptive as it is sweet. So I'm like, honey, you really you need to go back to your own bed for a while because I can't deal with this. Hey Marshall, welcome back. Hope all went well with dinner. And yes, this is Talon. Figured since I haven't drawn him on stream yet, now would be a good time. He is a husky. He is a solid dog, but much to my surprise, because I was under the impression also that he was overweight. I like recently brushed him and like took the chance to feel him over. He's just solid. He's definitely not fat. He's like solid muscle. His coat, I've noticed as he's gotten older, weirdly enough, it's thickened. Cuz this is from his younger years, and I'm noticing even though it was winter in this picture, his coat just did not have the fluff that it currently does. He bench presses Dave. That'd be Talon for you. Part of the reason too that the big dogs they get so irritated with Raza is because like the big dogs, they know that they've got to be careful with me, and they're like very respectful of the fact that they need to be gentle with their people. And Raza's still in the kind of abrasive puppy phase, so she's always wanting to like tug on sleeves or jump at people, and so it's that constant like having to correct her behavior and all of that. And the big dogs, oh my goodness, the judgment and disgust that they have, they're like, are you serious? Why would you do that? They look at her like she's the creature from the Black Lagoon or something when she starts doing stuff like that. And the fastest way, if she won't leave me alone, and she just won't listen to me anymore, we've pushed past that, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna show Kaya what you're doing. And I'll move us over. Like, she'll latch onto a sleeve and be like, I'm not letting go. It's like, alright, well, I'm gonna show Kaya then. So we walk ourselves over to where Kaya is, and Raza just like immediately lets go. Like, yeah, no, I don't wanna be like shunned and shamed because I know that what I was doing wasn't right. And so that's pretty funny. Some people manage being able to walk their huskies, and I always appreciate that like super immensely. And I'm always curious as to whether their dogs came more from like what became the show stock lineage versus the racing stock lineage, because I know for a fact that both the boys and Kaya slash Raza's line, they both were a little more racing inclined. And I don't know whether that affects things at all. Because I know that for showmanship, a lot of times, like, into their personality, they have to breed that they're willing to work on lead. And even then, when you see them working on lead, like if you watch a dog show with the Huskies, they're like bouncing everywhere and being such total goofballs. They're not serious at all. They're just, everything is like a silly joke to them, which I appreciate, but it's like, come on guys, get it together. For like 5 minutes, and they're like, we can't, we're Huskies. Like most women guys, yeah. I kind of like, here's the thing, I like all Huskies, but I kind of like the look of the, racing ones a little bit more because they tend to be a little lankier, and there's like a slight difference in, just like proportion of the chest compared to like the leg structure and whatnot. The show ones seem a little bit more compact, if that makes sense. And they're very, very like moderate. It's almost like, I don't know. It almost seems like instead of having a specialized role per their body type, they kind of picked the most like appropriate average of the husky and said this is what the standard should be. Because I know that with sledding and actually using them for that capacity, I mean, I think that's subjective, Bug, but my personal preference is that I agree with that. I like the racing types a bit better. Like Tally, because of how big and bulky he is, and how he has that more like almost freightish kind of look, he'd be more like a wheel dog towards the back of the sled, because that's where you need the most power. And then the ones that are lankier and leaner would be more towards the front. And it's kind of a personality thing too, I think, that determines who's going to be lead dog, because that's part of the reason too I love the feisty Huskies, because the feisty ones are the ones that they're meant to be leaders. They're meant to be out front. And my whole thing is, while I know that walking them isn't great, at some point I'd like to be in a place where they can pull me, because I know that they would just be so happy. And I don't know, Raza's too young for me to really have a gauge yet as to whether she could be the type of dog that I could trust her judgment in a lead kind of position. I know Kaya's judgment would be like pretty on point. I know that like when he was younger, Razzie would have been pretty solid for towards the front. He had pretty good instincts. But yeah, Kaya's got a pretty good head on her shoulders, and I'd be curious as to whether she seems like a natural leader, whereas Raza's not. Don't just trust Raza's judgment. A chariot pulled by Huskies, oh my gosh. That'd be hilarious. I've wanted to do like a little illustration for a while now, like of Santa's sleigh being pulled by huskies, because I think that would be cute too. It's probably already out there, but still, I think I'd want to do it like with my huskies on it or something. But yeah, that's what's interesting about the breed, and so many of the various breeds. They do really cool things. Like I think it's the Alaskan Husky that is. Is it the Alaskan Husky? I think it might be. That's actually a mix, and they pulled in some Sighthound, if I remember correctly, lineage. Like various. Like I don't know if it was just Greyhound or if they pulled in something else. Um, to kind of adapt the build for really, really fast runners. But the problem with that was that, if I'm recalling correctly, some of the dogs didn't have as plush coats. And so there are some dogs out there that need like jackets when they're running a Iditarod or doing their racing stuff. Man, I'd also love a Malamute one day because they're like all of them are a bit heftier and a bit more built like Talon, that they're just stronger, and they're meant to move a little bit slower. No, I got it. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. But they're incredibly strong. And they're meant to pull things over long distances and heavier loads, I believe. I don't remember which way it goes. It's always deceptive to me which dog was meant for which task. I can never keep it quite straight, but one day, when I can make the breed even more my life. Ooh, did you? Yes! Yes! Husky's pulling a Santa sleigh. Yes! Okay, now I'm very curious as to what's going on with this poor little husky. Oh my gosh. The way that the face like lifts that slow look up, and like, how could you? That's crazy. Oh dear. Yep, someone's definitely in trouble. Alright, let's see. There's the picture. There were merits, I think. Let's see. What were the merits? I think that Malamutes could go with heavier loads and go longer, like Bug said, but I almost think that there was something about them that was they couldn't go as fast. And I know that I'm trying to understand what it is. There's something in the whole sled dog breeding logic. There was something about the smaller dogs are somehow more um, metabolically efficient, I guess, and able to stay warmer. I don't know if that even makes sense, but I'll have to read into it more because I know that for some reason a large husky is not considered desirable and actually goes against their standard. But obviously, there are large sled dogs like Malamutes, so I'm very curious as to the logic behind it and what the requisites are as far as not just per breed, but what makes in general a really good sled dog. Because there's so much about this that I absolutely love. Um, but I still don't know as much about as I'd like to because I haven't had the chance to talk with people who are more in the know because there's like a lot of stuff on the internet, but I think some of this research takes like really talking to people who have made it their life. Those toes look super weirdly angled, but at the same time, it's how the photograph is. So I guess that's how the drawing's gonna be. Kinda. The joint, I think, needs to be up higher though. Oh my goodness, the story that's so cool about Togo, like, I don't know how to feel about the guy. Like, here's the thing. Togo is a dog. Like, I can't hold anything against a dog because he's a dog. And dogs are awesome. But Togo's musher was kind of. I don't know, he's kind of questionable. He actually shouldn't have been the last person into town. He just decided not to wake up the last guy who was supposed to take the final run and instead passed the checkpoint and took it himself. Um, so since he was the one who got there, I think that's why a lot of the credit went to him. But yeah, the guy who did the longest stretch of the journey and who actually bred a lot of the dogs who were involved in the serum run, his name was Sapala, and his lead dog was named Togo, and I think Togo was like, I don't know, I think he was like 11 when they did the serum run, so it was crazy that this dog was doing this. But he took the longest stretch of the journey because, and the most difficult one, because everybody kind of conceded this is the only guy who could do this if we actually go the dangerous route. So apparently he went across, I don't remember what it was exactly, I think it might have been a frozen strait, and he chose to go over this strait in the middle of night, so there was like no visibility. And if I remember correctly, there wasn't supposedly any moonlight or anything. There were high winds, like dangerously high winds. They couldn't hear anything, which meant that if the ice started breaking, they wouldn't be able to hear it. But they managed to cross this in the dead of night twice. Like, first time, I don't know whether first time was day or night, but the second time they did it when they actually had the serum, they crossed over the strait, and a couple hours later it was all like melted away. So it would have taken another day or so if they would have gone around and done the safer route. And if I remember correctly, they had to climb up some sort of really steep embankment on the other side too. It was crazy. But yeah, that was really intense and interesting stuff. And I'm pretty partial to the Sapala Line 2 bug again. Biased, and if there are any, there's a breeding program a while back that it was even lankier, more sep type dogs than the standard husky, that they were trying to like really really preserve that standard. Um, but I don't know whether it was actually ever found to be sustainable. I think they might have had to. I don't know if they gave it up entirely or if they just like expanded it further than they wanted to, but I'd be interested in checking into dogs that are of that stock and temperament even more. Just because I respect very much the history of where all of that came from. It was just absolutely amazing. And Sapala was a man who like really, really cared about his dogs. Like when he first got into mushing, apparently he messed up and he pushed his dogs too hard, and you know some of them like tore up their pads and whatnot. And he got really, really upset, and he withdrew from the races and whatnot he was in to take care of them and to make sure everything was done right. And his lead dog Togo was like a naughty, naughty dog, like a true troublemaker, and that just always warms my heart because it's like, yeah, I get that. That spirit is just it's something in and of itself, and I don't know, I just love it. But yeah, this dog that he didn't even think like had a lot of merit, just personality wise, ended up being the dog he was looking for because of that personality. And I think that's just so, so cool. I could talk about huskies forever in case nobody noticed that already. They're just one of those topics that for me never, never gets old. I like it. I like the story too, Bug, so thank you. I hope not to bore people with like my husky history lessons interspersed in here. They're just such a topic that I'm passionate about. What I really want to do is be able to do like, and Bug knows this, I really want to do Slut Dog Rescue one day. And be able to at least foster them, if not have kind of a sanctuary for them that if it needed to be their forever home, it definitely could be. Oh, thank you. He's actually always, for whatever reason, just been the easiest one for me to draw. Not sure I can even explain that one so much. But, for some reason, it just always works when I draw him. Right, Bug? Wouldn't that just be amazing? My goodness. Yeah, you know, people here might have even heard the story before because I know that I've talked about I've talked about huskies and husky history a fair amount. So, if such is the case, I do apologize for that. I get really really into it. Let's see. Yeah, aside from a couple of lines I don't really care for over here. I think this is actually pretty much how I want it to be. I don't necessarily want to go too in depth with like a lot of black just because I might do some shading on this later. Again, something kind of simple, comic style, whatever. Take a husky with me. Oh, that would be quite disruptive, I think, to the school or library if I took the husky with me. Unless it's a better behaved husky than mine. Razzie would have been perfect at that, though. His was a very, very calming presence and a very, very welcoming presence. think it'll take a few years to figure out whether or not the little ones is anything similar in that regard. But I know that Talon is incredibly high strung, and Kaya is very, very shy. She's actually incredibly shy when it comes to other people. Oh yes. I actually like that better like that, even though it's not quite true to photograph. There's something about it that just looks nicer. Super picky about the eye shape, I know it. I've noticed that there seems to be some really nice and pretty variances in eye shapes as well amongst the pups. And I really like trying to capture that. I like it better that way. I still like it with the little bit of highlight there, even though it's not true. That might end up changing as I get more shading in, but we'll see. Alright, Rambar, well thank you very much for being here. You have a good rest of the evening. There we go. I think the eye shape is getting much better now. I think here is a pretty good place to call it. I'm pretty happy with this line work. It's still a little bit messy, but honestly, I kind of like that in a lot of my line work. Very rarely do I go into making it super, super clean these days, just because I tend to shade through it anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. Need to work on some line balance throughout, but for now, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Oh, thank you. So what I'm gonna do before I head off here is really quick. I added actually a new screen today, and this is basically a thank you. I'll post more information on this about my Patreon and everything on Discord, and I'll get a link up on Twitch as well. I'm kind of behind the 8 ball on it, which is bad, I know, but I'm getting there. It was requested that I go ahead and do this again, so I've relaunched my Patreon, and I'm just going to go ahead and show my credits real quick. So far, I've got my first patron in, and this is my credit screen for now, so as needed, I'll add to that list, and I just want to give a very, very warm and heartfelt thank you to everyone who supports me through being here, following, subscribing, hanging out, chatting, all of that, and a very special thank you to my Patreon patrons. It's awesome, guys. I really appreciate your support. So for this evening, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night, and then tomorrow I will be back with Ren. We'll be back at 4 Eastern time, and I believe we'll be playing some Monster Hunter. We might have some events to do in that. We'll have to check it out. I'll have to see what's running. And yep, then the art stream will be 7 to 9. So until then, guys, take care, have an awesome rest of your evening, and thank you again.